Welcome back to Inside City Hall. Members of the city's Commission on Racial Equity are calling on Mayor Adams to release a long overdue racial equity plan by next Friday. The plan is mandated under the city charter thanks to ballot proposals approved by voters back in November 2022. In a letter sent to the mayor today and shared exclusively with New York One, Linda Tigani, the chairwoman and executive director of the commission, expressed her concerns, calling the delay a betrayal and a missed opportunity. Linda Tigani joins me now to talk more about this, and I'm also joined by Jennifer Jones-Austin, the CEO of the nonprofit coalition Federation of Protestant Welfare Agencies, and she served as chair of the city's Racial Justice Commission, which created those ballot questions back in 2022. So thank you both for joining me tonight. And Linda Tigani, let me start with you. So explain what's going on here. I mean, this plan, this racial equity plan, has been created, it's done, it's ready to go, but it hasn't been released by the Adams administration, right? So what's the holdup?
Yes, that's correct. So the Commission on Racial Equity was created to hold New York City government accountable to advancing racial equity in government operations and increase community voice in government decision-making. This is the first ever preliminary racial equity plan. This is the first cycle, an opportunity for community to come in and evaluate how is the city thinking about working and shifting our structures to ensure that communities harmed by racism and social injustice will be protected by our city's budget, will receive the necessary investments to ensure that equity, which sits at the center of our New York City Charter, is upheld and operationalized. So at this point in time, we have worked very closely with the Mayor's Office of Equity and Racial Justice. We have met with the Deputy Mayor for Strategic Initiatives every single month. We have met with city agencies, and also the commission went out and spoke with over 4,212 New Yorkers that shared 18 community equity priorities, and they said these priorities must be invested in. So at this point in time, we're waiting for the administration to release their plan on how they are going to invest in the well-being of New Yorkers, particularly those who are struggling to survive and those who have experienced long-standing bias and discrimination from government, but also from other areas in their life.
Wait, so to be clear, the report is long overdue, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, when was it due and how long has it actually been ready to go, as far as you understand?
Sure. So the report was first due in January of 2024. And that is according to a very specific timeline that's laid out in the charter. And I think it's important to note that timelines are extremely important. One, because when we comply with timelines as government, we actually build the necessary trust that we need with the public for when we do have crises or emergencies such as COVID-19. Following timelines is critical to good government practice. So our charter says the preliminary plan should be released in January. And that is also when the preliminary budget for the city comes out. So we as a city should see what are the investments that government is making and how does that align with ensuring that our most vulnerable marginalized New Yorkers are going to be taken care of in the next fiscal year.
So Jennifer Jones-Austin, it's mandated under the charter, right? Which you helped develop these ballot, and also there was this true cost of living measure that is supposed to be created by the city, and that hasn't happened either, right?
Has not happened yet either, and that was to come out in March 2024, and now we're in March 2025, and we have yet to see it. We have to keep in mind that these measures are the result of New Yorkers coming out in overwhelming numbers and saying, we want racial justice and equity in New York City. We want to embed it in government functioning. It was New Yorkers who said there have been harms that have persisted through the years as a result of slavery and racism that has ensued in all the years since. We as New Yorkers want to do something about it. And when I say an overwhelming number, 81% of New Yorkers said they wanted a true cost of living based in dignity, centering on economic security. Better than 70% said they want to cast a vision that everybody in New York gets to experience opportunity and equity in all its forms, and that the government has a responsibility to uphold it. And better than 70% said, we want racial equity plans that the government agencies have to create and abide by. So here we are, 400 days later, and we still do not have these plans. And I'm just going to say, in a time in our nation When racial equity is under attack at the federal government, we have in New York City a mandate of the people of New York to do something about that. We are not beholden to executive orders that come from the federal government. We have a charter mandate that says we should be doing this work. And so I'm concerned, one, as the chair of the commission, who heard from New Yorkers that this is what they want. Now we are in a time when we are experiencing attacks at every level. This city needs to step up and ensure that the New York City electorate have their voices heard, and we have racial justice and equity in core government functioning. The city has to act. It has to move.
Well, let me ask you this. We know that DEI is under attack by the Trump administration.
Yes.
You know, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've seen institutions rolling back diversity programs because they fear the Trump administration pulling funding or taking some other kind of punitive action. And we all know that the mayor has taken a very conciliatory stance toward President Trump. I mean, is that what you think is going on here?
This is what I say, and I don't have any evidence, but we should all be concerned. There was a lot of concern, a lot of voiced concern about the mayor having been compromised when we looked at what was happening with the Department of Justice and the actions that he was taking in conjunction with the federal Department, Homeland Security, to address immigration and the migrant crisis. There were concerns raised about whether or not the city could act independently of this this new executive administration at the federal level. The executive orders that concern DEI are not binding on the city of New York. We have to make sure that our city is not compromised in any way when it comes to adhering to the laws of this city and to the mandate of the New York City electorate. So the way that we do that, City of New York, is by moving to release this plan and actually bring about a true cost of living. Otherwise, we might be concerned, and have good reason to be concerned, that perhaps in this moment, when DEI is under attack and institutions across the country are anxious, that maybe the city of New York is holding back as well.
And is it, just to be clear, it's your understanding that the report, this racial equity report, is complete? It's done. It's basically just been sat on by the administration?
Yes, my understanding is that it is complete, and we've met with city agencies, we have met with racial equity planners. They are excited also to share their work. I do want to add to this particular moment, you know, the electorate said we want an independent commission for a particular reason, right? The Commission on Racial Equity is beholden to the public, to the voters who came out, to the 4,212 people who not only said to me, I'm so excited that you're here, I voted for this. But they also said, are you really gonna hold the city accountable? And what does that look like? We are the only commission on racial equity that has a very specific accountability mandate. And that is extremely important in this moment because it is irrelevant who the mayor or the president is. The public has said, equity is important to us, to our lives, and to our well-being, and we are putting an independent commission that is not beholden to a political party or a political office or a political agenda, but beholden to making sure that the well-being of New Yorkers is first and foremost, and particularly those who suffer from racism and social injustice.
And I'll just quickly add there that this commission and the work that resulted from it was the first in the nation. It still stands as the only in the nation. We could be a model for the nation about how to uphold justice and equity for all Americans if we just got to it and we got this plan out.
All right, guys, we're going to leave it there. Jennifer Jones-Austin, Linda Tigani, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And we have reached out to City Hall for comment on this and are awaiting